Hey, welcome inside the very first edition of Chalk Talk here at University of Denver men's basketball. My name is Siler Mon. The man joining me today is Pioneers head coach Rodney Billups. Coach, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, things are good, man. I appreciate the opportunity to get back with you, man.
Absolutely. It's good to talk to you. It's very weird. This is our first one. I'm like looking at you, but I'm also looking at the camera. It's very, so for all of you watching, I'll be awkward this whole time and I apologize. Coach, let's talk a little bit of hoops. You guys get to return home this weekend. We're recording this on Monday, January 25th. You'll get a couple of home series back to back against South Dakota State and North Dakota before you hit the road for your last two road series. But tell us about just kind of this season so far, where your guys are, what you've seen from them since getting started in late November and now to this point here in January.
Tyler, I'm not sure we have enough time in this segment to talk about the year, man. It's been different every day. You know, our guys have been extremely good outside of our 1-10 or 1-11 record. You know, our guys have been diligent in the classroom. Our guys have been very disciplined in the community of staying free of COVID, knock on wood. But it's been different every single day. You know, we started out the fall great. You know, our preparation coming into the season was outstanding. We had one kid, a walk on, test positive for COVID, and we had a 14-day pause with 10 of our guys. And we played our first game against Regis University with 7 players, 5 student athletes, scholarship student athletes, and 2 walk-ons. And ever since then, it's kind of been some type of distraction every day or every week or every game day. It's always been something, you know. And bless Tristan's heart. His grandmother in December, she dies from COVID. So COVID is a very real thing, whether it's a direct impact or indirect impact. It's been hell on earth dealing with it all year. You know, for us, it's come in a lot of different fashions, right? We've had a false positive test on 2 game days. We've had us a trip. We're going to Grand Canyon. We're in the bus on the way to the airport. Coach Scott calls from Grand Canyon and says, "Hey, we need you to postpone the game because we got a positive COVID test." No, it's been something every single game. So it's been a huge distraction. It's been a huge issue. But like I said, our guys are winning every other race outside of us winning games on the floor. You know, we've been hurt. I'm telling you, it's I can write a book this year for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that definitely seems true. And it's, the routine of everything is so different this year because we've talked so many times on whether it's pregame shows or the weekly shows. It's not the same. Your guys don't get to just go hang out in the locker room together. They're not in the weight room together. They're not doing all that type of stuff. For your team, the hope is toward the end of this year, on into next year and beyond, they look back on this and think that's how we all grew up together as a group and they benefit from it. But for you, being somebody who was a student athlete yourself, what do you think is the most difficult part about this for kids all across college athletics this year who've been having to deal with it?
The camaraderie of it all, and the fellowship and brotherhood that you develop in the locker room, and I appreciate so much that we here at DU are so conservative, and we don't live in a gray. We follow every rule. I'm so appreciative of it because we probably wouldn't have had 11 games so far if that wasn't the case. We probably wouldn't have had over 40 something practices because our guys are diligent, but I do think they lack the camaraderie piece of just being able to hang out in the locker room or have a social gathering at a house at an apartment or a player's house with more than 5 or 10 guys. Just having the ability to sit in the cafeteria and talk and just enjoy each other. That's a huge piece, and ultimately that's what my friends and I used to always do, and we talk about it, in conversations of just hours and hours of just sitting there, not doing anything, talking about today's practice, or talking about a game, or talking about class, or where I'm from versus where you're from. Our guys don't get that right now, so we hope that it continues to get better around Denver because we certainly abide by the city and county's rules. But at the same time, we try to put our best product on the floor and win games, and we prepare to win games the way we practice. And it'll turn. It's turning now as we get guys healthy and guys get more confident, and we continue to just buy into each other for that small amount of time we get to practice every day.
From the basketball standpoint of things, this team has done, especially over the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago against Oral Roberts University, you get your two best offensive performances of the season. Defensively, they've shown some really good strides as well. What have you liked most from this group this year, and what they've been able to do on the floor and how they played together?
This group, we came in the season, and I hadn't seen our guys from March all the way till school started in September. We came in with 8 new guys. So you lump that in with not having a locker room, not being able to get in extra work because of COVID protocols, and just not being able to learn about each other. I'm really impressed and inspired by the where we are right now with our team. Guys are starting to buy into what we're doing. Guys are starting to understand. And with this age group of kids or young people, they don't really start talking until they know exactly what they're talking about. So they're finally starting to buy into each other and caring about the guy on the right on the left, and it's starting to come together now. We go to North Dakota State, and I had to coach effort for the first time in a very long time. I didn't like that on that Saturday night game in Fargo. But outside of that, everything else is starting to turn and starting to come together. But we were fighting a lot of distractions and unnecessary battles just with what's going on. And our guys are starting to battle through it.
You mentioned those newcomers. Obviously, nobody who's watching this has probably been able to see a Pioneers game in person this season, and hopefully have caught some on Altitude TV, and hopefully every game on ESPN Denver 1600. But for the newcomers this year, we've talked about a lot of them on our shows. For people who haven't gotten to see this team a lot as of yet, tell them about some of the new faces and contributors this year.
Well, the obvious guys, are the returners, and Jace Townsend, Taylor Gatlin, Robert Jones, Roscoe Eastman, Tristan Green, Giovanni Bickham. Those guys I hope that you are still familiar with. But on the flip side, we bring in Kobe Lamb, a kid from Canada, coming, by way of junior college last year, a very bright student athlete, has battled injuries all year. So if you're looking at the box scores, he's been hurt quite a bit this year. Another kid, Eric Monkhouse, another junior college kid who can really fill it up from three, who's given us the ability to get some space out there on the floor and run different plays for him to get 3-point opportunities. He's been fun to coach. What do we have? Frank Ryder. I'm blanking on all of our guys' names, but Frank Ryder, by way of Boulder, he's another kid that's very talented with the ball around the basket. I think he's a lot like Daniel Amigo in the sense of when you throw it to him, he can really score it around the basket, and continuing to buy into what we're doing and the defensive side of things. It's for me. The new guys and the new faces, even with the old guys, we had 11 freshmen and sophomore last year. We had 11 we played with 11 freshmen and sophomore. We had 1 senior. So it's almost like this whole team is brand new again, right? Because we don't have, that older leader like a Dave Murkey that has been through all the battles, that's been through all the fights, and knows how to win. So it's been a fun year of just teaching and developing the young people, but also frustrating because, we're repeating ourselves a ton, but knowing that there's some light at the end of the tunnel because once they get it, they're gonna blossom.
You mentioned a guy there who I want to ask you about for people who are unaware. Ade Murkey signed an Exhibit 10 contract back in December with his hometown Minnesota Timberwolves. The G League is kind of waiting around right now. They're hopefully going to be playing in a bubble, I believe, as of February. That's the aim. And Ade hopefully will be taking part in that. Have you gotten a chance to keep in touch with him much?
I have. He watches all of our games. We send the link to him to watch and give him to give us his perspective on our games because he's seen it. He knows what we're doing and how we're coaching our guys and the language. So he's been a huge supporter of us this year. But he's just working out, getting ready. He really thought he had a chance to make the Wolves team, the Timberwolves team. He spent the entire preseason camp in a Wolves jersey, so that experience for him was phenomenal. But he's just staying ready, man. Getting hopefully he gets a chance to get a call up or even a contract in the big league.
What does it mean to you to have these guys who go on, they're playing professionally elsewhere, they've moved on to their careers away from basketball or whatever it is? I heard from Joe Rosga on Twitter the other day, Daniel Amigo, anytime anything goes up on Instagram, Amigo's one of the first guys to comment on it from the DU Men's Hoops account. That's got to be really cool to know that your guys, not only you had the buy-in from them when they were here, but they're still your biggest fans going forward.
That's awesome, man. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. Them having some ownership, and I'd even go as far as to say some of the guys that have transferred on their own merit still reach out and ask for help or ask for perspective or even just to say, Coach, don't worry about it. You'll get the next game. So it's been good. It's been really good in the sense of our culture is moving in the right direction. Our guys that have moved on and they're helping our culture with just being a part of it still. I'd love to be able to get every student athlete that I've coached just to come back and share their stories with our student athletes. But for us, we're in the moment, and sometimes student athletes, especially freshmen and sophomores, like we have this year, they don't see it yet, but they'll have some ownership when it's all said and done, like the Joe Roskas and the Daniel Amigos.
All right, Coach, it is Chalk Talk, so we got to talk last thing, X's and O's a little bit. You get South Dakota State coming in this weekend. Always a tough draw. They got some dynamic guys on the other side, Douglas Wilson, Noah Friedel, and some others. Tell us about this weekend and what you want to see from your guys to get a couple wins against the Jackrabbits.
For us, I just want to see us compete, continue to take steps forward in our effort and just our level of competition. I felt like last week we took a step back because of the score and the start that North Dakota State had on that Saturday night game. So this week I want our guys to just compete and not get pushed around and not let the referee or the officiating dictate our energy and more or less not let our shots or our missed shots dictate our energy because we need it. This team is a seasoned team, like you said, dynamic players and the Douglas Wilson and Noah Friedel, but they also have some guys around them that are dynamic as well. So for us to win, we certainly have to put our best foot forward. We have to compete for the full 40 minutes and not stop believing because it's a game of runs. They shoot a ton of threes. They average nearly 10 threes a game, and 40% of their offense is from the three-point line. So for us to stop that, we have to compete. We got to play hard, and we got to stay locked into their personnel and what they want to do and try stopping them.
That's head coach of the Denver Pioneers, Rodney Phillips. The biggest thanks to all of our supporters of Denver men's basketball and the 5280 COVID Together Relief Fund. It's obviously been a very challenging year for all of us, and athletics is certainly no exception. And we have a massive debt to all of you, and a tremendous thanks to you. And thanks to you, Coach. We knocked this first one out. It was easy.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Coach. We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.